Hello, Jenna. So hello.
Jenna, come off with Mummy.
Not encouraging.
I'm all hot and sweaty. It's horrible weather.
He wants an
You
alibi.
actually recording?
Sure, recording.
Do you raise
Huh?
your own sons as you wish? Well, I think you do the same with mine.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Not too bad.
Hot enough for you?
Pretty hot.
How much?
So, let's not start to talk.
No, just look at the fish.
Oh, yes, of course.
Turn around.
Lovely.
Oh, you got any more magazines for me?
I've got two.
Well, you can take that book. What did you forgot?
Eh?
Still need my left.
No, my dear, there is two men. Roberts and my father.
Never did I know anyone less interested in grapes than you.
Funny, it's fun.
Oh, no, not true. It
Oh,
wasn't.
that'd be nice.
And I was
Now
proud
see?
that...
You always reach for the future, and you're...
What about you, you old rascal? You take
Israel!
for yourself.
Well, hydroponics turned out to be so dumb.
You should have listened to me in the beginning.
Have more to see in Sicily.
Yeah.
So let us say the latest 10 past 10 would be back in
Didn't the lines used to come
don't know
out
exactly
here?
how high it is. Now, this home is not easy for us to build it with the same material.
So,
There was a wall higher and filled with waterfalls. The stage, and when people are going down, they are the dressing rooms. There's a gate.
look. Well, here we are at Caesarea.
So it shows you how really.
Simpson trick. Show us how you push over the columns.
Like I did that redwood tree.
Eh?
Like I did the redwood tree.
Push it over.
I don't think so, darling.
This is looks like a Crusader castle. All the Roman, these fallen columns.
I suppose the windstorms.
No, they were knocked down over the years. They've probably just been bulldozed here by the archaeologists.
Why did they not?
They probably found them all over the place, and that's where they put them.
I have traveled the world now. I'm out in the Mediterranean Sea. This is where I learned my geography.
This is the Crusader fortress at Caesarea. You can see how huge it is. Look at the moats in the front. And it's in pretty good condition still. Here we are looking at the other side of it. Look right down the moat. See how far it extends into the distance. It's huge.
Of watch towers to watch what is going in the mall. Now this was the main entrance with a moving bridge that of course could be taken up and down like we see it in the movies. And wait here.
This is inside the fortress. You see the rough, uneven floor, the stones.
This was the gatehouse, one of the major streets. A Roman city had two streets. A street going from north to south and a street from west to east. And they found here the major street. Another thing that they found here was a water cistern. So it was easy to have here the gate when they had to give the horses water before leaving the fortress, stored with a stone made actually of concrete, but looks like the stone. And so you can say the difference. When the most important part, that one of the important questions is where from they took this kind of architecture. Now it was taught.
The aqueduct that was used, that was built by the Romans to bring water from Carmel to the city that they built at Caesarea. That's all that's left of it now. This is the cable station, huh? The cable station at Rosh Mikra.
Thank you. And I can't swim.
It's an opportunity.
She's hardly got a foot off the step of the bus and she's sliding up.
These are the grottos at Rosh Mikra. To the sea.
Mediterranean. Fall. I went back to school. I tell them all this.
Beautiful, huh?
Oh my goodness. Is it children's sleepers?
No, kids haven't been here yet.
Let's take them to see it. Yeah. Oh, this is wonderful.
The road leading up to the cable station at Rosh Mikra. I'm sorry, I've actually got it a bit in. This is where we are, right up at the top there, which is Rosh Mikra, the border with Lebanon. Old Akkar. This is part of the Crusader fortress. This is a view from the wall.
This is one of the halls, because here we can see it. The other one was rebuilt around where the new way and looks different than from the beginning. Now the house to the right the Arab time, the Turkish period, and so on. And when it's the Bay of Haifa, it's the same Bay of Haifa. Now the lighthouse is working also now because the harbor of today is a fisher harbor. And there are a lot of rocks around, so they have to be warned from the rocks. So the
4 harbours that were built. The Italians had 4 harbours here. This must have been a few hundred years after the Crusaders were here.
they are going to continue. They built it exactly on the same place where in the old Italian section was a church. And these are things that no one can explain. So it happened the church is standing on the right place.
Part of the harbour until 1927.
Lovely sun.
As this for style. These people are living in a area where bones are buried.
Of course, the first floors were for the donkeys, the camels, the animals. The second floor was for the people. From all the inns, this is the only one that you can really see it nearly as it was built. The only thing that Jazar Pasha changed here was the pillars. And you can see that the pillars are not exactly from here. And these pillars, they took from Caesarea. From the view of the inn, when today the inn is used by the harbor people for storages. There was a plan to rebuild it again as a hotel, but it didn't work. So this is the old inn. And somebody, I believe, already noticed it, but the transfer took place on, in modern times, right, to refuel cars. So from here, the natural way is to go to the harbor. In 1906, they made an exchange in Jaffa. They got from the Turks a tower, and they gave back a tower. The tower that they got in Jaffa was nearly the size of this old inn. And the towers they gave were 2 clock towers. One here and one in Jaffa. This one never had a clock in. But the nicest place to see it is, of course, from outside. So we decided to give a name to this inn, the Tower Inn. Outings were blocked. Here was no steps, but just a ladder to come down. It was a window, not a door. So he came around and he said, all right, this is a crypt. Maybe somebody will explain to me why there's not at least one grave. Because the crypt meant to be a grave. Then he said, what? One here, one there. And he decided this he gained a lot because you remember I told you that between the 4 Italian quarters there were walls. And the only place to protect them from danger or anything was a fortress. But as they were in very bad relations with their neighbors, and people at that time were a little bit shorter, so
the central bus station in Jerusalem. We're going to organize, we're going to catch a bus to Yad Vashem. Bus number 18.
We're now on the bus going to Yad Vashem, and B is very excited to be here. Talk a little bit, B.
Can't hear from you.
Doesn't matter.
Can't hear it, you have to hear. Mom's walking down to Yad Vashem. We've just gotten off the bus.
And it's cold here.
And it's cold and it's freezing. And it's been raining today.
But it's nice.
Which tree are you going to? That's your tree that you bought. When did you buy the tree? Did you buy that tree? Where's your name on it? I'm sure you bought the one behind it. Yeah, that's your tree. The big one, the big tree.
That one.
Yeah, that big tree. You bought, that's your tree.
Yeah. Shall I stand there?
Okay, come, let's go. Come.
It's too thorny here.
The main entrance to Yad Vashem. You can see various memorial items in the background. This is the avenue of the righteous Gentiles. Each person has had a memorial plaque in their honor. We have here quite a famous one, which is Oskar Schindler.
כן.
זהו זה?
כן. כן, ככה מסירות. ואני אגיד שירת ואתם אותם יהודית.
רוב היהודים עסקו כאבותיהם במסחר ובאמנות, בסדנאות קטנות ותעשיות ביתיות. רובם נידונים היו להיפלט ממעגל התעסוקה עקב מגמות הטיפוס שהחלו להסתמן.
Enormous the half land.
This is a teacher who was with the children in the Warsaw Ghetto. He wasn't Jewish. His name was Janusz Korza.
Talk a bit louder, come closer.
His name was Janusz Korza, and he was a teacher in the Warsaw Ghetto. When the children were deported to the death camps at Treblinka, he refused to stay there and went along with them, where he was murdered also by the Germans. We just heard that he was Jewish.
He was Jewish.
here they're walking. The wind is blowing like crazy. I just about can't control my umbrella, which I'm holding to try and cover up so that it doesn't get wet on the camera.
Like a whole commercial production out of Granny B.
Going to the hotel. Granny B says the marble is very warm. She's already been to the hotel, but at least it stopped raining now. When we were here 5-10 minutes ago, it was pouring with rain.
Southwest corner of the wall. If you have a look straight in front of you, you'll see what appears to be the beginning of an archway. This archway is called Robinson's Arch. It was discovered by the archaeologist Robinson at the end of the last century. This archway was the top of a staircase that led onto the Temple Mount. If you look down below, you can see what's left of the piers at the bottom of the archway. Right down at the bottom, which is approximately 10 meters below the level of the ground today, is where the ancient Roman road used to be. You're also looking at the area where there used to be a very big market. There used to be a lot of shops. This bottom corner right down below here used to be the market area during temple times. The depth of the wall on this side actually runs from the top to the bottom of 30 meters, because from 10 meters below this you get where the Roman road was, and the wall continues a further 10 meters below this down to the bedrock where the foundations are. That 10 meters of the bottom part of the wall is also consists of dressed stone, although it's never been uncovered and appears to be today to be in 100% condition. This whole area here is called the Archaeological Garden. It's been excavated since 1967. It was completely covered in rubble. In fact, in 1967, the ground level was right up to the archway, which you can see directly in front of you. And the archaeologists over the last 15 years or so dug down and uncovered everything else. Right down in the background, the far corner, is where the old city of David started. And they found some buildings there that belonged to the First Temple period. In fact, the eastern wall, which is exactly on the other side of us, is the same wall that existed from the First Temple period, which wasn't ever broken down. These are ruins from the Ottoman palace that was built around about the 14th or 15th century. And the wall that you can see, which in the background, which surrounds the whole of the old city, was built by one of the Sultans, Suleiman, in the 16th century. He built a wall right around Jerusalem. It's the old quarter, We've got a lot of stair climbing to do, and Granny B is a first-class person at climbing stairs. View of the wall with the golden dome in the background. Continuing along the wall, as I showed you before, you get to the southwestern corner, and then the wall continues eastwards. And look directly in front of you, you can see a castle or a fortress built by the Crusaders in the 11th or 12th century. Right down at the bottom here is what's called the archaeological garden. King Herod built many water systems down here, and they've discovered that the Byzantinians used them as houses. You can actually walk down to these houses right down at the bottom, underneath the ground, and they've got the most beautiful mosaic floors that are still intact
That's
today.
my old lady as she gets on the bus. Yeah, that old lady getting onto the bus was the old lady that I helped down the steps. An amazing old lady.
Poor people in Israel really have it very tough.
She was telling me that she's a widow and a pensioner, and she had one son, and she's battling away with this huge heavy package now.
Right in the background, on the hillside, you can see that's the Mount of Olives, where all the people, famous the rabbis and everything, are buried. And as we carry on further down towards the right, this is an Arab village. It's just on the other side of the wall that surrounds the old city. Jewish quarter. It's been completely rebuilt after the Arabs dynamited most of it in 1948. Granny B window shopping.
The time of King Herod and the big empire that he's built here in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago. And today we're actually going to explore things that were left from that big empire today, till this very day, which is, one of them is the Western Wall. Okay, so let's look at this diagram and see more or less what we'll be doing during the tour. First of all, we entered from here, from outside, the public praying area. And a small portion of, we'll see things along the way which they found and are named after them. But actually most of the tunnels that we'll go through today were dug only after 1967, when we entered Jerusalem and continued to excavate the Western Wall. And as I said, most of the tunnels we'll go through later on were dug by us. But before that, we're standing at this point in front of an arch. Okay. We've stopped here for a short peek to see, this is of course the continuation of the Western Wall from outside. In front of us, this is a continuation of the men's section, right? The men's. Okay, we've reached an important part of the tour. Now we can see very clearly how things looked back then. The temple and all this, and all the constructions around. We'll get explaining more or less most of the details. So it's important that you listen, and also for the rest of the tour to understand more of what we'll be seeing later on as we continue. Okay, let's start by where you're sitting. You're sitting on top of the west. Okay, all stones, original Herodian stones, 2,000 years old. The stones which are not, you can see on top, the smaller stones are not original Western Wall stones. So there are three ways to recognize these stones. The first thing, and that's the most apparent thing, the size of the stones. Right? We'll get to the size of this specific amazing stone in a second. Maybe with the help of you. This incredible stone weighs. Recalculation. Okay. To know if it's higher, as we saw in the model, they could roll the stones down very easily and bring them over here.
How do they stop them?
There's a harder question. Imagine when they brought the stones over here, how did they lift the stones up and build a 60-meter high Western Wall? Remembering that still some of the Western Wall. Okay. Now, we're standing here inside, more or less, what is obviously a gate. And the first question is, what time this gate is from? One look at the round top, we know straight away that it's not Herodian, not from the Second Temple time, because all gates from back then were rectangle and not round on top like this one. So we go back to the 7th century. The 7th century, that's when the Arabs come to Jerusalem, and that's the time when they built the Dome of the Rock. During the 7th century, and this gate here is an entrance to go up, remembering the Temple Mount is still higher from this level, going up, to the Dome of the Rock through this gate. Now, one look at the bottom of the gate from this side here, where the gentleman is standing, will find Herodians that Warren discovered. Now, imagine all the excitement of the excavators coming through here after 67, among them two very famous rabbis, entering here when this was completely open. This wall is almost new. This was completely open. Entering through here, getting to these very secret rooms, and starting to look for the Holy Ark, the Holy Menorah. You might ask, some of the vessels were taken to Rome, to Babylon. We know that some of the vessels were taken, some of the holy vessels were taken away, but the Holy Ark we know for certain, and that's what we said before, it wasn't inside the Holy of Holies during the Second Temple because it was hidden at the end of the First Temple. During the last few years of the First Temple, one of the kings took the Holy Ark and hid it. And continue here at this level, at this point. That's part of the bedrock. And that's the base of the Western Wall from here. And you can see here that's the connection already to the bedrock itself. Now, look at something interesting. I said King Herod was crazy. Here's another evidence. We're standing here at the end of the Western Wall. I'll explain in a second why I'm saying it's the end of the Western Wall. King Herod reaches the end of the Western Wall to the bedrock. Even at this point, he doesn't leave the bedrock empty, as is, but he carves into the mountain itself the special design he has on these stones. Don't be fooled. These are not real stones on this side. These are just carving inside the bedrock itself. Now, you can laugh here, standing close and seeing the difference between the fake stones and the real ones. But imagine people standing further away, looking at the Western Wall, they thought it was complete. And that's how King Herod fooled everybody. Now, the bedrock coming out here, and the crack is probably while building and continuing this main road. Imagine what very...
On the original stones, no?
Am I in the way? I don't know where to put myself.
Not